Join me as I dive deep into the cryptic world of Sonnet 3 and uncover the secrets behind its mysterious mother and other marvellous characters. In this lecture, we will delve into the mystery surrounding the mother, discover what the fresh repair really means, explore the real meaning behind Sonnet 3, because nearly all scholars have got it wrong. Join us on a journey to uncover the secrets and symbolism hidden within this iconic sonnet. Get ready to uncover the truth behind this sonnet's most intriguing characters. Welcome to this lecture on Sonnet 3. I'm Peter Matthews. Look in thy glass and tell the face thou viewest. Now is the time that face should form another, whose fresh repair, if now thou not renewest, thou doest beguile the world, unblessed, some mother. For where is she so fair whose unearned womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Or who is he so fond will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Thou art mother's glass, and she in thee calls back the lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. Now, before we examine the sonnet, I'll discuss Hebrew gematria of the letter Gimel, representing the number 3, which sets the tone of the sonnet. Gimel represents the Sephirah of Bina, meaning understanding, which gives the impression of the black divine mother, the womb, the palace, the feminine divine potency, the heart of Adam Kadmon, and the sustainer of all life. Gimel is a complex letter that refers to the earth, the seas, the empathy of the Creator, and the world to come. The Messianic age that we are currently in until the return of the Messiah and his millennial reign for 1,000 years from Jerusalem. We open with, look in thy glass and tell the face thou viewest, which refers to the face of Adam Kadmon, a primordial man, or a structure of light having human characteristics, which is the first manifestation of God in creation. In the Midrash, he is called the Ancient Man, the Midbar Rabbah 10:2, or the Divine Will, he is also called, of creation. Now, this is very interesting as we go into the later sonnets, because we look at the will of wills. Remember this. The person Adam is also figuratively of Israel in the same Midrash, although Solomon, King Solomon I'm talking about, claims to have ignored Adam's teachings. Why? Because he indulged in the red wine and corrupted himself. For it is written, do not gaze at the wine, seeing how red it is, how it sparkles in the cup, how smoothly it goes down. For in the end it bites like a poisonous snake. It stings like a viper. Proverbs 23:31. I think most people do know if you've been on the wine too much the night before, how much that affects a person. I don't know because I'm a Nazarite. I cannot drink alcohol. Not only because of that, but I'm also allergic to sulfates. So there you go. But God had a plan, didn't he? This is one of the reasons Emilia Bassano skipped the portion of Noah on the righteousness of men, because she investigated Adam and Eve. See, the Hebrew letter Gimel also speaks of a place of barrenness, a lack, with the pain of labour in readiness to create. In verse 2 we find, now is the time that face should form another, which can be taken in two ways. One is Sheveret ha-Kelim, or the breaking of the vessel, as discussed by Rabbi Isaac Luria, with the origins of evil, or the darkness, and the contraction to form the world of Adam Kadmon. It's basically a metaphysical world transcending time in Tohu, emitting light from their eyes, which we'll discuss a little further later on in the sonnets, to begin creation with Kita, Hokmah, Bina, and so on, until the Sephirot of the Tree of Life were formed in Nukudot, or Malkut. The lowest 7 Sephirot were not able to contain the light, and they descended into the world of Beria, shattering the vessels in Tohu, though the 3 upper Seraphot remained in Tohu. To repair this, it is the Jewish Kabbalistic doctrine of Tikkun Olam that we'll discuss right throughout the sonnets. Now, the second meaning alludes to the light spreading downwards, as above, as below, which Jesus used, expounding on the Aramaic. He said, "May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, as above, as below," directly translated from the Aramaic. Now, that's actually from Matthew 6:10. The New Testament gives us the answer to form another. I'll give you a hint. In this instant is not referred to Eve. It's, look, I'll get to it a little bit further. There's another imagery which I'll mention. I intentionally left this out of my book so that I could reveal it here for the first time. I'll use both English and blended with Hebrew because this is where the Apostle Paul, or the Pharisee Saul of Tarsus, who was both a Pharisee and a Roman citizen, who wrote Adam, the first man. But in the Hebrew it is Rishon Adam, meaning the first man, was made from the dust of the earth, while Christ, the second man, and this is Sheni Adam, meaning a man of illumination, came from heaven. Earthly people, afar, are like the earthly man, and heavenly people, and I'll slow this down a bit so you can get it, Sheni Adam came from heaven. Just as we are now like the earthly man, we will someday be like the heavenly man. In other words, we will become like Christ. 1 Corinthians 15:47-49. But it also reflects upon Daniel 12:3, where the righteous will shine like the Zohar, or shine like the King of Kings. He was the first Sheni Adam. It comes from the Greek word euteros, meaning second Adam. Now, some Kabbalists believe "let there be light" means that the angels being created on the first day were from the right side of the tree of life, but there are also the cherubim who protect the gates to the Garden of Eden. I say gates, plural. And there are 2 cherubim who protect the world through the study of Torah by children on the matter of training children in yeshivas. Zohar teaches, for the sake of those children, the world is saved. Therefore, if you deprive them of studying Torah and instead send our youngsters to war, We've already seen what can happen throughout history, but we must never forget to train our children. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. Now, you'd think that was from the Torah, but it's from Matthew 5:15. But Jesus was quoting the Torah. And, I can't explain enough that Jesus was a Jewish rabbi who came for his people. A lot of Christians don't understand this. Now, the next portion is, whose fresh repair, if now thou not renewest. Fresh repair, being the renewal. Well, this refers obviously to the Jewish Kabbalistic doctrine of Tikkun Olam, to repair the world before Satan can turn it into endless darkness with a howling golden calf in honour of him. Now, we'll discuss this in more detail in Sonnet 5 and midway through the sonnets. So we open in Zohar 1:1b, where it speaks of meorot, lights or luminaries. However, it's written without the Hebrew letter vav. Thus, it spells deficiently. So what does that imply? It means something was missing on the fourth day of creation. A lack where some celestial mother in the sonnets would beguile the world, as cited in the verse 4 of the sonnet. Now, beguile the world. To beguile the world is to woo, charm, or to attract a potential for evil or curse in this instance, taken from Virgil's Aeneid. It's essentially a curse upon the world. This is why God said, "Let there be light in the darkness," in Genesis 1:14-15, as he pondered creation. Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. And it was so. Then in verse 16, he also made the stars, which relates to a comment by a follower in my previous episode. Now, some of you may know I own an observatory and I've been involved in astrophotography for more than 10 years, and both M45 Pleiades and M42 Orion are mentioned in the Bible as being formed by God. Astronomy is used right throughout the sonnets, which drew me to astrophotography, although very few understand the connection to the 7 stars in the book of Revelation, known as the 7 sisters of Pleiades. And there's a number of interesting connections which I'll reveal in a later sonnet, including a story connecting to Aboriginal culture, Japanese culture, and various others. And it does have meaning. In Zohar Adash Midrash Hanilim 7d, it teaches us light shines on the righteous and joy on the upright in heart. Psalm 97:11. And when the storms of life come, the wicked are whirled away, but the godly have a lasting foundation. Proverbs 10:25. We find imageries in Scripture to depict the righteous for good, and God saw the light was good. But it also says they're whirled away. Well, there's an imagery in the sonnets that we'll talk on this later, See, sonnets 1 to 3 really sets a foundation to build upon all the way through the sonnets, from 1 all the way through to 154 and beyond, in Emilia Bassano's crescendo, which I discussed in Sonnet 1. Now, what is the origin of this light? Well, Emilia Bassano in Salve Deus Rex Judeorum, or Hail God, King of the Jews, left us 2 secret codes. The first is found in the dedication to the Lady Margaret, Countess Dowager of Cumberland. And she says, the sweet incense balsams. Balsams, by the way, is an imagery of the Bassano family. Odours and gums that flows from the beautiful tree of life, sprung from the root of Jesse, which is so super excellent that it giveth grace to the meanest and most unworthy hand that will undertake to write thereof, neither can it receive any blemish thereby. For as a right diamond can loose no whit of his beauty by the black foil underneath it, neither by placed in the dark, but retains his natural beauty and brightness, shining in greater perfection than before. So this most precious diamond, for beauty and riches exceedingly all the most precious diamonds and richest jewels of the world, can receive no blemish, no impeachment. By my unworthy handwriting, I will with the sun retain his own brightness and most glorious lustre, though never so many blind eyes look upon him. This imagery is not so much the diamond, well it is, but the dark expanse retaining the beauty of Israel. In this case, Emilia was leading us into the verse that we opened Sonnet 1 with. I am black but beautiful, O women of Jerusalem, like the desert tents of Kedar or the curtains in Solomon's palace. Song of Songs 1:5. It speaks of the Shulamite and the daughters of Jerusalem who bewailed Christ's death. Jesus said to them, daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, weep for yourselves and your children. Luke 23:28. This is part of Emilia's message in the sonnets in Salve. I am black, I am blackish. Speaks of the bride, confessing, do not stare at me, because I am dark, for the sun has gazed upon me. Song of Songs 1:6. Black is described in the Midrash Parashat Hadasha 4:29 as pitch black, light unseen. The moon, also described in the Zohar as night, an imagery of Adonai, but also as turning away from the sun, which is an imagery of Shekinah, leaving me unilluminated, like a diamond without the light. You see, this is it. It's talking about Israel being the diamonds that are only best seen in the night. Beautiful. We'll discuss the source of the light with greater detail with the portion of Bishallah, which is up to about Sonnet 76, if I remember correctly, somewhere in there. At the moment, we'll be discussing Bereshit, or in the beginning. Well, that's not strictly correct, actually. I've used Bereshit in its traditional form, Bereshit bara Elohim, because this is the most understanding in rabbinic and Christian families, although the real meaning is translated slightly differently. It's in the wording. Now, in the original text of the Aleppo Codex, it did not have any punctuation and so on. Can't remember the right word, to be honest. But in the later, after about 800 AD, they started using punctuation with Hebrew and so on. And there's in the text, it has two little dots under the Bereshit, which translates it slightly differently. It shouldn't be. It should actually say, and I haven't got this written down. I'm saying off the top of my head. It should start with when God created, not in the beginning. And this is something that probably needs to be corrected by scholars over time. But I presented it in its original form so that people understand the original text where the Zohar was written. Now the next passage. Where is she so fair, whose unheard womb? Is now speaking of Eve, but also as an imagery of Shekinah, who Emilia exuberantly praises, defending women in salved use. Behold, great queen, fair Eve, apology, which I have writ in honour of your sex, and do refer unto your majesty. Notice she calls her your majesty. That's talking about Shekinah. To judge if it agree not with the text. Get that bit. And if it do, why are poor women blamed? 1. Or by more faulty men so much defamed? And this great lady I have here attired in all her richest ornaments of honour, that your fair queen of all the world admired may take the more delight to look upon her, for she must entertain you to this feast, to which your highness is welcomest guest. For here I have prepared my paschal lamb, the figure of that living sacrifice, who dying all the eternal powers overcame, that we with him the eternity might rise. This precious Passover feed upon, O Queen, let your fair virtues in my glass be seen. And here we are talking about the glass again. So, I'll come back to the glass in a minute. Emilia uses Eve for all women, for all came from Eve. In the following verse in Sonnet 3, we find disdains the tillage of thy husbandry, which is an interesting connection to Adam and Adam Kadmon, or the living soul of man. In Genesis 2:15 of the Bishop's Bible of 1568, it reads, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden, that he might work it and keep it. The Hebrew word for work is avad, meaning to till the garden. So disdains the tillage of thy husbandry. Adam despised the tillage and preferred to make red wine. Interesting. Or who is he so fond will be the tomb? Because as we discover in Sonnets 15 and 16, Adam is fond of another female, and I'm not talking about Eve. Now, I don't want to spoil the future episode, but this is a painted counterfeit, which could have well been Adam's tomb. It's a wonderful imagery, and I didn't want to bring it out too early in the sonnet, in the book. That's why I've left it for now. Emilia's second secret code was Lord of Light and Truth, referring to the pre-incarnate Christ in the act of creation, using the words, "Let there be light," Genesis 1:3. And the blossoms appeared upon the third day, which is expounded rather well by Daniel Matt in Zohar 1:1b. And I'll read that for you now in English. In the beginning, Rabbi Shimon opened. The blossoms have appeared on the earth. The time of pruning has arrived. The voice of the turtle dove is heard in our land. Song of Songs 2:12. The blossoms are the act of creation which appeared on the earth. When? On the third day. As it is written, the earth brought forth vegetation. Genesis 1:12. They appeared, earth. The time of pruning has arrived, which is referring to the fourth day on which the pruning of tyrants, Isaiah 25:5, took place. Now I'll interrupt this and keep in mind that the Lord thought about every person who would come into the world for 2,000 years before he began creation. Continue with the text. Meorot, lights, spelled efficiently. The voice of the turtle dove is the fifth day. As it is written, let the swarms with a swarm of living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. Genesis 1:20. Generating offspring is heard is the sixth day, as it is written, let us make a human being, and there is written, Nayese, we will do and we will listen. Exodus 24:7. In our land is the Shabbat, or the Sabbath day, a paradigm of the land of eternal life. God created in 6 days, and he rested on the seventh. 1 day is 1,000 years to us, 6,000 years in our time, and the Messiah must return for his millennial reign from Jerusalem. That's how the Zohar portrays it. These blossoms are the patriarchs in the mind of God in the act of creation. They were hidden in the firmament, figuratively in a rainbow, until the time was to be born upon the earth. At that moment, the time of pruning has come. It is believed that if the flower buds, or if the patriarchs, had not come at the time of creation, the wicked would not be renewed. In Jewish Kabbalah, the patriarchs are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they represent the triad of Hesed, Gevurah, and Tiferet from the Tree of Life. It is God who sustains the world and causes the fathers or the patriarchs to appear at the appointed time for the study of Torah and for the sake of the children. Thus the world is saved. This is the paradigm of the land of the Talmud. Berakot 57b, where Shabbat is 1/60th of the world to come, or a reflection of the world to come. Think about that for a moment. Think about your most favourite Shabbat, or your most favourite rest day you've had. Favourite throughout time. That's only 1/60th of the world to come. Pretty incredible. Parashat Hadashah 4:32 tells us 2 reckonings have been transposed for this world. One is the lineage of Jacob, reflected as the sun, and one for the lineage of Esau, which is reflected as a moon. Whilst the Edomites have dominion in this world, and Edomites obviously as descendants of Esau, Numbers 24:17 tells us that in the world to come, Jacob, or Israel, will have dominion in the world to come, referring to the millennial reign of Christ from Jerusalem. Then the glory of the moon will wane, and the brightness of the sun will fade. Isaiah 24:23. Why? The Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings. Malachi 4:2. For the sun will rise like the dawn with healing for his people. The Divine Mother, Bina, broods over creation through the mother's glass, and she in thee, verse 9 in Sonnet 3. Here's another secret code by Emilia. The glass is a code for the holy lamp in the Zohar. We'll cover this in 5 and 6. That mentions a golden holy vial that has been a symbol of the Bassano family for generations, cited in Sonnet 5 and 6. It's a symbol of the Bassano's family heritage, their culture, their mastery of Jewish Kabbalah, because it is a symbol of creation, the Sephira of Chokmah, representing wisdom. It's also a piece of jewelry that was in the possession of Antonio Bassano upon his death in 1574, where it passed to his wife Elena, then their daughter. What a connection to this work. This, along with their other Venetian jewelry, was stolen from the Bassano family and recovered as part of the Cheapside hoard. Currently, I think it's in the British Museum, if I remember correctly. They locked it up after I released my first book on the matter. We find Emilia using phrases in Salve use like, let your fair virtues in your glass be seen, in relation to, O Queen. Now, this is used as Adonai. It's also used who shines the light of Shekinah upon the earth at night. There's the imagery. That's really what I was talking about. Here we find the difference between Bina and Chokmah. And then we move on where it's talking about, she's writing about the wonder of her prime, talking about Shekinah, when in lovely April, when spring is in full bloom in England, like the blossoms of creation, she is able to see through the windows of thine age, scorned of wrinkles, this thy golden time. Would the world not endure? Yes, my Jewish friends will understand the window of Miriam Bas Bilgah from the Talmud and the Midrash, and how she removed the curse through music. What a wonderful imagery connecting the musical Bassano family. This is juxtaposed against a Masonic slur in Parashat Hadasha 4:30 of sun worshippers who fashion windows on the eastern side of the temples corresponding to 12 hours, and the suns descend through the window and they pray. And when the sun does not shine, they bemoan and weep the whole day. But Rabbi Judah Nasi tells the story of the window of Bilgah that opens to the south, because the sages blocked the door after she kicked the altar by saying, Lucas, Lucas, how long will you keep consuming the money of the Israelites? Yet you do not come to the rescue in time of need. Where's that recorded? Sukkah 56b. No doubt from hearing it from a parent's home. Essentially, it speaks of Miriam, the daughter of Bilgah, who was punished along with those of the Bilgah clan because of who her parents were, something Emilia struggled with. A black, educated Jewish court minstrel as her father and a white court concubine as her mother. Emilia struggled or identity in the early days of her prime. Emilia asks who would sustain the world, enabling the patriarchs to be revealed. God's people would perish, but no, for the sake of the children, the world is saved. Corresponding to them, the Zohar states, "We will make you pendants of gold." Song of Songs 1:11. Now, this paraphrase section that I'm going to discuss now is from Zohar 1:1b, and the text, believe it or not, is the final 6 verses in Sonnet 3. And I'll reread them so I can remind you of them. Thou art thy mother's glass, and she in thee calls back thy lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live, remembered not to be, die single, and thine images die with thee. What a wonderful depiction of the creation of Israel, the patriarchs, and the feminine divine presence of Shekinah, who will one day punish the world by fire and sword and judge the earth where many will die. Isaiah 66:24. There is a lesson in all this. Many who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, but others to shame and everlasting contempt. Daniel 12:2. But those who are wise will shine like the Zohar, meaning as bright as the sky. And those who lead many to righteousness will shine like the stars forever. Forever. Daniel 12:3. The poet challenges us to choose a path. Which path are you going to take? Path of the tzaddik, the righteous, or the path to shame and everlasting contempt? To be punished by fire and sword, or to have everlasting life? What do you want to be remembered? Thank you for watching, and bless you, He.